Hey everyone, my name is Nick Patrick. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Radar, and today we're going to localize a website based on current country or city. Maybe I'm building a website and I want to show a default language or currency based on the user's current country. Maybe I'm building a web app and I want to show content or events for the user's current city. And to accomplish this, we're going to be using Radar's IP geocoding API. It's a very simple IP geo API that converts IP address to a course location with city, state, country, and a course latitude and longitude, as well as Radar's Web SDK, which is a JavaScript SDK that exposes our geocoding APIs as well as our search APIs, our routing APIs, and our location tracking and context APIs. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we want to do is we want to sign up for Radar and get our API keys. Radar's free tier provides up to 100,000 free API requests per month, and you can grab your keys on the Get Started page. We're going to grab the test publishable key, which is meant to be used on client applications like smartphone apps or websites. We're going to start with a very simple blank web page. You can see we just have a page title of Hello World and then a div with ID of country with some loading text. And we can serve this using a really simple Python web server. So if we go ahead and refresh, you can see that we have this loading text here. So now we want to use Radar's Web SDK and IP geocoding API to grab the current country. So I'm going to go back into the web page here. I'm going to paste this snippet that includes the Radar JavaScript SDK. If I were building a React application, I could also install the package using npm, for example, and import it that way as well. But we're just going to do this in a simple HTML web page. Cool. Let's write some JavaScript. So next thing we want to do is we want to add a script tag, and we can start writing some JavaScript using the Radar Web SDK. So first things first, let's call radar.initialize, and here we're going to pass in our API key that we signed up for before. This is going to authenticate the Radar SDK to the server. Next thing that we want to do is we want to call Radar's IP geocoding API. And you'll find the details in the Web SDK documentation, but this function accepts a callback, which will return an error string if the request fails, and a result with an address object if the request succeeds. So if there's an error, we should probably print it out just so we can inspect it. But we've initialized the SDK with our API key, so we should be good to go. Then we want to check to see if there's a result, and if that result has an address. And if it does, we can go ahead and print that out just for debugging purposes. And then let's grab that div with the ID country. So we'll say document.getElementById by ID country, and we're going to set the inner HTML with some text that says your country is. And the address is going to include a country code, a country flag, the name of the country. It's going to include the current city, the current state code. In this case, we're just going to grab the country flag, which is the emoji flag for the country, kind of fun, as well as the country code. And that's it. And we're serving this web page. So if I go here and I refresh, now once the page loads, we should call Radar's IP geocoding API and get the current country and print it out here. And so you can see it says your country is US. Pretty cool. Worth noting a couple things. First of all, I could certainly call this API directly as well. So I can just issue a curl command and call api.radar.io/v1/geocode/IP, and you can see the full response here with all the different fields that you can take advantage of. We can also, if we want to test in a different country, this is TunnelBear, which is a VPN application. Let's pretend that we are in Japan, and we can connect, and so our internet traffic is going to be routed through a proxy in Japan. If I refresh the page, now that I'm connected, it should detect that I'm in Japan instead. Might take a second. There we go. Our country is JP. Our IP geocoding API also exposes whether the user is using a proxy, so you can use that for proxy or VPN detection as well. That's basically it. So just to recap, we have localized a website based on current country. Maybe we want to, in a real website, then take the country code and show a default language or a default currency. And we've done this using Radar's Web SDK and IP geocoding API. That's it. Thanks for tuning in, and looking forward to seeing what you'll build with Radar.